Hello. Okay, where's Carly? She said she was already here. I don't see anybody. Where is everybody? Okay, if you're in here, hello. I can't see anybody, but it says there's people in here. Hey, how you doing? TT, Vera. How's it going, guys? So glad to see you here. There's Carly. Hey, Snow White. Amanda, Catterday. I love it when you do Catterday. So cute. Now, where's my daughter, Katie? She accidentally showed up at 8. I was trying to split hairs and do 8:30. Hey, Deborah, good to see you. I know, I love Carly's name. Yes, Christoph, I see you. Katie's here, yay. Let me know how you guys are all doing. I know, I love Carly's new name, no Twitter. Let me get the link for anybody that wants to come up on the mic. Pickle, I love me some pickle. That's not fair because I don't have a kitty. I'm doing pretty good. I don't know if you guys saw the really short video I uploaded about Shoe Lover 99. I was so upset earlier. My heart breaks for her. I don't know if you guys know her, but her son was murdered last night and it just broke my heart. Pork chop, hey, what are you doing? We'll hang out for a few minutes and see if some more show up before we start talking about the Petito case. Amanda, she's a really famous TikToker. They call her Mama Tot, but on TikTok, she's Shoe Lover 99. Such a sweet lady, so giving to everybody. So when I found out last night that her son was murdered, just broke my heart. Have you seen that, Katie?
No. I mean, I saw it when I was like loading your channel, and I was like, oh God.
You didn't know her on TikTok?
I think I might have seen like some of her stuff a couple months ago, or not even a couple months ago, whenever the SCOTUS briefing was first leaked, and she had a video on that. I think that kind of went more viral, but otherwise I've never really come across her.
No,
But
she's
that's
pretty
terrible.
famous on there. I started watching her before she got real famous, though.
You're always on to everybody before they're famous.
I know. I did TikTok way back when nobody else was doing it. She just always seemed genuine to me. And like I said, so many of these people, they get famous on TikTok and then they get these huge egos and they act like assholes. And she just, to me, has always stayed true to who she was.
Yeah. You said it was her son?
Yeah, and his 19th birthday is today.
Oh, God.
And I think he's the one that used to do TikToks with her. Like he has his own account and they would do them back and forth where they, what do you call it? On TikTok when you went, huh?
Duets?
Yeah, he would duet her all the time. Joking about her being his mom and how famous she was and all that stuff. Hey, Angela, how are you doing? Duet. Why can I not think of these words when I'm trying to think of them?
Your brain has too much other things going on.
I know, between this dang bubble tea and I'm telling you.
I'm telling you.
People are loving this bubble tea.
Closer to your loving daughter.
Yeah, I don't think they're not saying too much in the news reports, but she said that they have 2 people they're looking at.
It was at a gas station. Most of them have security cameras of some sort, at least. So hopefully that helps them.
Oh, it was at a gas station?
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you find that? See, there was nothing when I was looking.
Only shooting death in the well, I guess maybe this place is guessing what happened, because it says the only shooting death in that area was reported at a gas station in Pritchard.
Wow.
But they confirmed that it was an 18-year-old male who was killed. So
Hi,
everybody's like,
Angela.
it has to be that case.
Yeah. I wonder if it's a robbery or.
Hi, Angela.
Oh, you started your own YouTube channel. We have to all go sub to you. Tell us what it's about while we're waiting. People are loving this bubble tea, Amanda. It has surpassed what I thought it was going to do. It's crazy.
I'm glad it's going well.
Yeah, I just need a couple more people.
Good luck with that.
I know. It took me 15 minutes yesterday to conjure the word blood pressure cuff. Yeah. That's my world. And I have no excuse.
Should I be concerned about you?
Yeah, probably. Or pickle. Which one? Both of us?
Yeah. I meant you, the blood pressure cuff thing, but I'm also concerned for Pickle.
Oh, I was reading Pickles because Pickle said that.
Oh.
That's
Oh,
okay. Be concerned for both of us. We probably both need it.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's concerning that I wouldn't be surprised if it took you that long to think that it worked either. No.
That's so bad. Yes, I finally got the bubble tea up and running, but I really need to hire a couple more people. I had to go work again for a little bit today just to make sure everything was going right. And I've already had to reorder a bunch of flavors that are almost sold out. And we only started Tuesday.
Damn.
And by Friday, we were sold out of a couple flavors already.
That's a good problem to have, at
Yeah.
least. But
it's funny because people told me everybody wanted matcha.
Yeah.
And that is not one of the top sellers, let me tell you. So, yeah, I have lots of matcha, but taro and peach have definitely been the 2 top sellers.
I'm surprised anybody wants to drink a taro root tea in Newark, Ohio.
I'm just saying, I don't like it. The taro is not my thing.
No.
But apparently people here love it. I thought the watermelon was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And the peach. I like the fruit flavors.
Yeah. I like peach tea like almost no matter where it's from.
Yeah, when I first started asking people, Carly, on Facebook in our area, I said, well, tell me what flavors you want. And everybody said matcha. But now everybody's not buying it, which is fine. I mean, it's not a big. I just think it's funny that they all asked for that flavor and now nobody's buying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad, Snow White. It's been bad for a couple years now. Yeah, we got the bursting fruit boba. So they're way more wanting that than the traditional boba.
Yeah.
Yeah, with coffee, the only funny drink I like is an iced latte with no sugar, no nothing, just which is basically an iced coffee with cream.
Yeah.
I'm so boring. I've been trying to get that one pickle. Some of the flavors are hard to get right now. Coffee's hard, chai is hard. Trying like crazy to get the chai flavor.
Like I was gonna say, it would have made more sense to me if people had said that they wanted chai and not matcha. Like, matcha's
Yeah, nobody said chai at the time, and I didn't know there's a shortage of chai right now.
Oh.
So now everybody's asking for chai, and I think I finally got some.
Come fall and stuff, especially chai becomes big because it's like a warming spice. It's not super similar to pumpkin spice, but kind of the same.
See, that's how I feel about the Thai tea. To me, it's like a pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
Because we have the Thai bubble tea.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not big on vanilla syrups. I know everybody else likes them, but I don't like that. All righty, should we start talking about the Petito case?
Yeah.
Is the gang here? The gang's all here, almost. So did you watch any of it today, Katie? It was pretty interesting.
I haven't been able to watch anything since we've had people over, but just been keeping up on it, on the articles and stuff like that.
I want to see the letter Brian Laundries' mother wrote to Brian.
Yeah.
That said, after you read this, destroy it.
Yeah.
And
I think it'll end up coming out.
oh, I do too. But I'm so impatient. I want to see it right now.
Yeah.
And I
to release his journal and stuff like that, even so.
See, Pickle was saying this. What are the chances they release this while the court case was just getting going and the judge says, I'll make a decision in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
And the attorney releases this like the same day. That's suspect.
Yeah. I think he's an idiot for it too. I don't know if he somehow thought that this was going to make things better, but I think it makes things more clear that they knew.
Yeah.
Like,
see, that's how I felt. I was like, how stupid could this attorney be? Because I really think he thought it was going to make things better.
I don't know. The way he handled the case from the get-go, I'm still surprised that the man's being paid to be their attorney.
I know. Somebody make it make sense.
Yeah, I think he intended for this to be like, and obviously Brian acted of his own accord, and like we're all like, well, duh, he was thousands of miles away. The question has never been, did the Laundries murder Gabby? The question is, did they know when he got home? And even without the journal, I think the general consensus of everybody is, duh.
Yeah.
Like, they immediately went on vacation and blocked Gabby's mom, and you just want to act like that's just normal behavior. I actually feel like his letter is kind of suspect. Like, I don't know. It still doesn't sit right with me. And I still think that the parents had something to do with his death. It's just like,
do you see? I was wondering if you still thought that. I didn't at all in the beginning when you were talking about that. But now I'm kind of like,
if you're going to write a confession and then unalive yourself, who makes the excuses about her hypothermia and her injuries and I basically strangled her out of love? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to make a confession and then unalive yourself, you make a confession. You don't make excuses and then bad excuses at that. I'm sorry. It still just doesn't even make any sense in my brain. Yeah, she was really hurt, and rather than seek help from park rangers, nearby campers, or a hospital, I strangled her.
Yeah. Well, we all knew he would lie. I thought he would blame her more. I really thought he was going to do a letter saying she made me do it because she made me so mad and she wouldn't stop. And because a lot of abusers do that. So I was kind of taken aback that this was the story he came up with.
Yeah. But it still doesn't strike me as the kind of confession you're average. But, like if I was so distraught over what I did that I'm going to unalive myself, I'm not going to make excuses in my confession letter. I'm going to just be like, yeah, I did it. I hate myself for it. I'm going to leave now. Not,
yeah,
I did this because I loved her and she was hurt. I'm not going to explain
put her out of her misery.
Else. Yeah. Like, but I just, too, I don't see how the parents didn't know. And I don't know.
The whole thing is so bizarre. I can't even believe. I would really like to see the other confession on his phone.
Yeah.
Because they say they don't really match.
Yeah.
Why do they leave us out like this? They give us little bits and then we're still
and
wondering.
For the course of a year now, you know what I mean? Like, come August is when, everybody started really knowing about the case and recognizing this, and we're almost there and we're still just getting this like trickling of information.
Yeah. Their attorney, though, he's the worst in my opinion. How did he think this was going to help anything? How could he even?
Yeah.
What was he like? I'm going to put this out.
Petito's attorney is like,
great guy Brian Laundrie was.
Right. I don't know. And I'm sorry, even if Brian didn't come home and say, "Hey, mom and dad, the girl that was going to be part of our family, totally strangled her." What did they think happened when he came home alone with her van? And then they just were like, "Yeah, let's go on vacation. Sounds like some family time's in order."
It's so bizarre.
It really is. And that they're like not making any statements about this or any actual defense of their behavior during that time. And I'm sorry, it's still really weird to me that they didn't seem concerned about their son missing. They
Yeah, they
gardened
did.
and went about life like, I don't know, their entire behavior is just massively suspect to me. And I think Petito's family asking for only $30,000 is way too low. Like, they should have jacked that right up and really made this a
I
point to
think they
hit
should have.
home.
I think they should have made it for the 22,000 because I still say they put that money in his account so he could get out of the country.
Yeah.
No, it's just my opinion.
I don't know.
And
I
then,
feel like there was a plan for him to leave the country, and then I still feel like his dad stepped in at some point and was just like, this just isn't good for the family business. You're gonna need to.
you're gonna need to go. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
I'm still not convinced that Brian killed himself because I still think he's too narcissistic. But I don't know if we're ever gonna like find out those answers. Even
I
if this
know.
lawsuit goes through, and even if they have to pay the civil penalties because of the lawsuit, it's not actually admitting anything. So
I'm really hoping the judge doesn't dismiss it just because I want to see, because they keep saying they have proof that they knew
yeah,
that, the Petito family.
yeah.
And I want to see that proof. And I think it's going to have to do with the $22,000. I really do. I
Really
think that's going to be
interesting.
their proof, some of it anyway, that his parents put that money in his account so he could get out of the country because they knew he was guilty.
Yeah.
I just don't see how he could have ever come up with that money.
No. They were so broke while they were running around.
That's what I've always said, because a couple people last time took issue with me because I don't have any proof that they did that. But it makes no sense.
No.
He had no money. He had spent all of her money. So if he had 22,000 sitting in a bank account, why was he calling home needing people to send money?
Yeah. Why was Gabby constantly asking her dad to give them stuff like money to eat and stuff like that? It just doesn't.
Yeah, I think the money should be easy to trace too. And I'm kind of surprised it hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
I thought that would come out months ago. But I guess if the Petitos are using it in their lawsuit, they probably don't want it out yet. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what this judge says, but I can't believe it's going to take 2 weeks.
I'm still even I know the notebook was supposedly in his dry bag, but it's still so weird to me too that the area was so flooded that all that remained of his body was skeletal remains, but this notebook was okay.
I know, that is bizarre.
I'm still just, and I'm like, and they said the dry bag had holes in it, like the ink is smeared, but I'm like, it's not the kind of,
It's in way better shape than I thought it would
shoot,
be.
if it was just been like no rain, no water, no nothing, it's in better shape than I would have got for weeks
It's
out in
sitting
the woods.
outside in the elements.
Yeah.
You would
I've
expect
gone on
more
a
damage.
6-hour hike with a notebook and my paper looks shittier than that when I got back. So I don't know. There's just so many parts of this that just rub me the wrong way that we don't have answers for, and so much that we don't have information for. And like, I figured they wouldn't release the actual autopsy report, but I keep like hoping that we would get more information than just strangulation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because is there anything to corroborate the injuries? Can they even corroborate the injuries he's describing? Because her body was there for weeks before it was found. So I
See, I thought at the time, didn't they say something about they really couldn't tell everything because of decomp?
Yeah.
So there was a
But I'm
lot.
like, if she had hit her head or whatever hard enough to be like essentially dying to the point that he had to kill her by strangling her, which still makes no sense. I'm sorry. Strangling is a very intensive
Personal.
thing. It's a very intimate way to kill somebody. And it is not, I don't know.
And it's not a quick way either,
No,
unfortunately.
it's not. No.
Hey, Curious, welcome to the channel. Glad to have you. Kay, do you think Katie will flap her gums? Saying sources are telling her about Brian Laundrie. I don't think so. I don't
Every
think.
time I'm like, me?
No, the other Katie.
I know. Damn the other.
I don't think she's done in much on the Laundrie Petito case. Has she? I mean, the only thing ever came up with her was when somebody, we all know who, called her local police and said Brian Laundrie was in her basement.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, that person was Nat. So it's so weird how this case touches on all these other little outside things. It's so weird.
Oh, you're fine, Angela. I'm so used to it now. I just still have to pause every time and be like, it's the other Katie.
That's why people always go, why do you say my Katie? I said, so people know I'm talking about my Katie and not Katie Joy.
Yeah. We don't want to disappoint the people showing up for a shit show. Not that we can't have our own shit show, but not that kind. It also still, the way he spelled injuries in his confession, I don't know.
He misspelled a lot of stuff, but I think too, a lot of people were talking about that he used a different colored pen at the end. I don't think he did. I think some of it
it's
just
just dark. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a couple different pictures of it. I can see how, like, if you were looking at one of the pictures that you could think that, but in most of them, it just looks like a darker blue, like it got wet or he pressed harder, maybe, because it's at the very bottom of the page.
Yeah. It's so weird how he wrote it, too, where it angles up, you know, it arches, and I guess he's being his artistic self, even writing his unalive letter. I mean, it's so bizarre.
I just, too, and I've killed myself by this creek in the hopes that animals, and he didn't even spell animals right, may tear me apart and that it may make some of her family happy. I don't know.
See,
the whole thing is just so...
That's him being a martyr.
Pointed.
It's like somebody else said earlier, that's him being a martyr and a narcissist.
Yeah.
Because he's always going to bring it back to himself.
All of this nihilistic stuff that he was into. I mean, of course, part of me is glad. I think if he hadn't gone this route, I mean, supposing that all of it's true and he actually did unalive himself and this is his confession and all of that, that he either would have gone this route or he would have gone the potential, like, serial killer route. And I don't know, you know, like, there's got to be a divide at some point. And I guess, thankfully, he couldn't take it. But just,
remember when we did our first live, Katie, about this case, and we had like 800 people in here that night, and we had some of them yelling at me and Katie because Katie and I were convinced that he had done it.
So many domestic violence apologists
got mad at us, and
so many people defending the fact that he stole her van and drove it across the country without her, without saying a word about her, and we're like, that's not suspicious. And I'm just like, what is wrong with people?
People got so mad at us that night. And I knew watching the video, I knew he was abusing her. I just knew because I've had
that
way
video
too many friends.
Still stands out. Is so weird.
I still can't believe the police couldn't see it.
No.
I mean, to me, it was so obvious.
Yeah.
Katie and I got a lot of crap that night because they kept trying to convince us that Brian Laundrie was the
victim. And that none of this meant anything. And that, you know, since she admitted to hitting him, that it was all her fault and that if anything happened, he was probably defending himself. And I'm like, that still doesn't explain why he took the freaking van and drove tens of hours home by himself with no word or anything about her. I think almost any woman, especially, the second you hear about a guy who was traveling in a van with his woman And then he mysteriously shows up 2 weeks later without her and no word as to where she is, and nobody's heard from her. You immediately know what's happened. And there's just no excusing that behavior.
Have anybody seen, has his sister said anything today? I haven't seen where she did.
I haven't seen any statements from her.
I feel bad for her because I feel like she's the only honest one in the family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like searching for her, there's like nothing since basically October of last year.
Yeah, when she made that one statement and they got so mad at her.
I think there was some immediate shut the hell up from her family. And
I felt so bad for her.
I don't know. I still, like, she was the only one that I semi-believed too, didn't know that what had happened. You know what I mean? Since she was saying, come forward, tell us what happened. Like, we need to clearly get to the bottom of this. And that her family was immediately like, get the hell out of the spotlight, stop talking. It just points again to that they already knew.
Yeah, curious. That's me, that traffic stop.
I know. Yeah, that.
It just broke my heart because I knew. The minute I saw it, I knew.
Yeah.
I've had so many friends that were in those kind of situations, and that's exactly what they do. They'll take all the blame so their abuser gets off and so they don't get in more trouble. It's like abuse 101. But I think Pickle's got a good point with this family culture thing.
Mm-hmm.
You got the overbearing, resentful mom, the submissive dad. And a lot of them seem to have that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I can't explain why I think this, but I think he confessed to his parents. And his mom planted the idea in his head that it would be best for everybody if he unalived himself.
Yeah.
And they knew it was his plan.
I feel like maybe there had been originally the plan to, and I still think that their vacation, their camping trip, their whatever, was literally just to get out and plan. And I think the original plan was, here's your money, run. We'll get you off the coast of Florida or something. And then somehow over the next while, it became, we're just going to back out of this and you're just going to need to take responsibility for this, son. And
we were watching a newscaster that was live earlier. He had 7,000 people, well, 6,200 in his live.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people were still thinking that the dad unalived him. I don't know if I can go that far, but
it's definitely crossed my mind. And I still think that the mom could just be behind all of that.
I can't quite make the leap, but I can see why other people do.
I still think that especially reading this, every time I look at the confession letter again, I'm just like, it feels like somebody was like, you need to sit down and say that you did it and that you're taking responsibility, and then we're going to do this.
Yeah.
So even if somebody else didn't pull the trigger, I think somebody else might as well have.
It is weird, though, the left hand thing and all that.
Yeah.
Oh, Pickle, you need to come on the mic. Do you want to come talk with us? Here, I'll put the link in again in case you want to come in. She's got a lot of good thoughts. Just in case, no pressure. But there's the link. She's got such good thoughts on this. There it is, baby. You should see it right up above you. If we're working in real time, hopefully. I never know when it's lagging on their end.
And yeah, I agree, Amanda. I think that's still him just trying to act like what he did was noble. Like, if it was noble, then you shouldn't have run. But also, why wouldn't you? It bothers me so much to my core. If she was hurt, why didn't you get help?
Yeah, that confession is just.
If you had to strangle her to end her pain, then she could have gotten help.
I think if the Petito's case goes forward, we'll get a lot more details.
I think so too.
And I think that's why the Petito Laundrie family is fighting it so hard, because they don't want all that stuff like the bullshit thing the attorney said, that her saying burn this letter after you read it was the title of a movie. Come on, stop it. We're not stupid.
Right.
Now it's the title of a movie. No. And then they said too on that broadcast that there was a part in it that said, if you go to jail, I'll send you a cake with a file in it. Okay, now why would she be saying that? The thing is, there's no date on that letter.
Yeah.
That's the problem. TT. I'm a few minutes behind, but that's such a good point about the family structure. Overbearing mom, submissive dad. It reminds me of Casey Anthony's family. Here's Pickle.
Hello,
Hi,
hello.
Pickle.
Hi, baby.
Hello.
How's my pickle?
Doing okay.
See how I get possessive of everybody? Everybody's
I'm
mine.
not mad about it. Not mad about it at all.
Give us your thoughts, sweetie.
I have so many. I feel like, hang on, let me turn this TV on. Okay, so I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not an Indian chief. I'm not a journalist.
I know where that came from.
I got to get my digs in where I can.
I know.
But I am a psych nurse, and I do have education in psychology and therapy and human behavior and stuff like that. So this is just my opinion, fully. But I think that just from, obviously I don't know them, and anything I know is what we all know. Like, I don't have any insider information. But I think that his mother was smothering and obsessive over him, and that's why he had this complex. I believe he's a narcissist. There's the whole argument that's like nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
But I think that from a young age, he was like the light of his mother's life. I think that it probably caused serious issue between mom and dad. Where she chose the child over the dad. So the dad was like checked out in a way, because what's the point? And they come from a little bit different of a generation, so depending on their upbringing, it wouldn't be like, oh, we're just going to get divorced because we don't get along anymore. So I think that the dad just did, like, he went to work, he brought home the check, she made him dinner, he ate, he was there, but he was not invested emotionally. And I think the mother, and I've seen this with moms and daughters a lot. It's not every mother and daughter relationship, obviously, but I think the mother had a difficult time with her daughter. When the daughter did her interview, when she came out on the front porch, and she's like, I know nothing. I know what you guys know. I only know what comes out in the news. If my sister had disappeared after leaving her boyfriend, husband, whatever, in the middle of the desert, who was later found murdered, I would be on the phone, if not at my parents' house, every day.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? And if I was met with...
It struck me as so sad when she said that, because I'm like, why are you getting your information from the news when you're part of his family?
Right. I would be out there every single day, like, trying to, good, bad, indifferent, whether she did it or not, I would be trying to find my sibling, my family member. I would be up my parents' butt, like, you guys got to do something. You got to talk. And I've thought about this a million times, because very early on, and going back to Katie, what you said about the lawyer, I'm not a lawyer, but my first thing when all this started, I would have crafted a statement for them to read. So it literally came physically from them to satisfy that said, we love our son. We love Gabby. We don't know what's going on. It's our every effort, every wish, every desire that our son is found so that we can come to the end of this horrible situation. We love him indefinitely. We have no idea but we are willing to do whatever we can to help. That doesn't mean you have to do whatever you can to help. That just
No.
means from a PR stance, it looks good.
Yeah. I mean, just the fact that like the day after he got home, they hired a lawyer. Like with nothing else said, nothing else done, no phone calls made, nothing. They hired a lawyer.
Yeah.
But that lawyer's response apparently to manage this was to just shut up, don't talk, don't say a word, don't appear empathetic to the fact that there's a girl dead somewhere or missing at that point.
And she lived with them.
Yeah, radio silence on your son's fiance.
Right.
And your son's involvement and as to why he would have shown up without her. Not even like a cover story, like an attempt. Like if you guys were going to help him run or try to help him beat charges, come up with something, man.
Something.
And it was just a wall of nothing.
Well,
and
I think that
was so suspicious.
Bertolino probably had conversations with them and realized. I would not be surprised if the dad wanted to cooperate more, wanted to help more, wanted to do more along the lines of quote unquote the right thing. And the mom was probably like, no, we can't do that. They probably had loose lips.
Yeah.
They probably couldn't control emotionally what they were dealing with. So Bertolino was like, let's not say anything.
Yeah.
Because you can't be trusted to make a public, statement or whatever.
Right. I think Bertolino just continues to mess up because like even in releasing this, the Petito's lawyer was immediately like, okay, well, where's the rest of the notebook then? Like if you got all this stuff, like how about rather than just releasing one page, where's the rest of it? Where's the burn letter? Where's the all of this other stuff that you guys got turned over to you that you're not releasing? And why aren't you releasing it unless it proves something that you don't want people to know? And he's not wrong.
No, not at all. I watched the Brian Enton interview with the Petito lawyer earlier. And the Petito lawyer said that the letter from Roberta to Brian. So they knew he was leaving and going to be gone.
Yeah.
So that already establishes that.
Yeah.
That it was very much it was written literally on it, burn this after reading. He did not. Of course he wouldn't.
Yeah.
He would screw it up, and she shouldn't be surprised by that. That it said basically like, if you're caught and you're found guilty, that I'll bake you a cake and put a saw in it. And the lawyer said that, it wasn't facetious or like, ha ha ha, whatever. Like, there's other things in it. He said that when Bertolino read that letter, because he didn't even know it existed, when the FBI presented that to Bertolino, who now has possession of it, that he was in shock. His face was like, oh my God. So again, I probably understand then because Bertolino probably knew.
A little bad for Bertolino because I can't imagine having to have this family as your client.
And your friend. They were friends for years before he took the case.
I think that might be why he hasn't backed out, because I think a lot of lawyers at that point, especially at this point, now defending them going into this lawsuit and this potential trial and everything too, like, if you had found out about this letter this late in the game, that would have actually been an excuse in some states, I'm not sure about Florida, to be like, yeah, I'm going to recuse myself from being their lawyer at this point.
Right.
They're not being upfront with me. They're not giving me anything to work with. And I think, honestly, maybe it's just their history together that Bertolino's still there at this point. But I would feel more bad for Bertolino if he didn't just very clearly not do a great job at this. Which I just feel is karma for the Laundries at this point. So
right.
I'm not going to be mad that you have a crappy lawyer.
I think the Petitos, you guys are speaking about the money amount. I don't know this, but just from my limited knowledge of the law, I wouldn't be surprised if that monetary value, the $30,000, that demands certain things be met. So they're not really going for the money. I think they're trying to get things like the notebook, like the letters that they know exist because the FBI recovered them, and they have some things as well, and their lawyer has seen what the FBI had. So I think the Petitos want the truth to come out to the public because they want to be like, no, this truly was heinous, and this whole family was involved, and this is what you're dealing with.
And I mean, like, I know they have closure in a certain sense that Brian is gone, so yay, but like there's so much still open-ended for them, and this helps bring that about and get full justice on it, that the Laundries, knowing what they most likely knew, shouldn't just get to go back to living a normal life after this. Like, I don't know.
I think that, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. My phone rang in the middle of it and I was like, oh. I think that especially this is where I absolutely agree with you, because I think bertolino is I can't, I'm like, which side are you working for? Because
Right.
I've seen
I still was
headlines.
just like, what was this letter release supposed to do
Right.
for you?
Like
Or
the headline that I've seen touted, which we know how the media likes to like skew things, is that Brian Laundrie notebook released in mercy killing. And I'm like, okay, I understand that he represented it as a mercy killing.
Yeah.
We know that it's not a mercy killing no matter what he says, but that's the headline.
Yeah.
And there are people who, unfortunately, in this world, as we have learned in the last couple of years, they're not nearly as intelligent as we once hoped they were. And so they'll see that and be like, oh, it was a mercy killing.
Right.
And they won't understand the absolute ridiculousness of that.
Yeah.
So
that's my thing. I'm like, she wasn't like out. I mean, I know that they were not exactly like close to town, but they also weren't like out in the Amazon rainforest. There are park rangers. That area is very used to using helicopters and stuff like that to rescue people when they need to. And even, even just outside of that, life flight is totally a thing. And that you didn't even appear to try anything else. The whole thing feels concocted to me.
He just thinks we're a bunch of idiots.
Yeah.
And I know it's most likely just the narcissism, but like that, I still just like, if I'm going to confess and then I'm going to unalive myself afterwards, I'm a confess. And if
he couldn't do that.
Want to go into details, then I would just be like, I did it.
Right.
The end. Goodbye world. And not.
He couldn't do that because
crappy story around it that leaves more questions unanswered than anything else.
He couldn't do that because of his mom.
Yeah. I think Curious actually has a great point too. Like, we know that they argued that day. We know that they fought that day. Mm-hmm. So then you really expect people to believe that this was just, oh, then she got hurt and I killed her to be nice.
Right. He was emboldened. If you go back and watch that video where somebody calls in the abuse and the police stop on the side of the road and separate them and talk to them, Gabby is emotionally reactive the entire time. She's brokenhearted from start to finish. Yeah. Even when it's like, you're not in trouble, you're not going to have to go to jail, you're fine, blah, blah. But then Brian is goofy and he is laughing with the cops. And if you study like psychology of like authority figures and how we react to them and blah, 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 his behavior is chilling. Yeah. It's literally the behavior of a serial killer. Mm-hmm. We're going to be buddies. We're going to be friends. You know how girls are. Like, he's trying to find a camaraderie with them.
It still sticks out in my brain too, his crisscross applesauce. He's just giddy. And he's just like, yes, sir, crisscross applesauce. And I'm like, whoever behaves that way around police? Like, you guys just got pulled over for...
Yeah, but think about it. It worked.
It did.
It worked. Yeah.
He charmed those police officers and they believed him.
Yeah, it worked for years with his mom teaching him how to do it.
Yeah, how to manipulate.
You're my perfect little boy.
I mean, the fact that Gabby stayed with him through all of this. But I do think that there was probably, after that stop especially, probably a big part of her that was like, I'm out. I'm done.
Oh, yeah. That's why that's what set him off.
Yeah.
Because she was like, no, I can't do this. And she saw that there was no help, that there was someone there to help. And she didn't exactly know how to navigate it. Plus, we all know what it's like. When it happens a lot in relationships, but it also happens in like when you're a kid and you're screwing around with your sibling and one of you goes a little too far and hurts the other one. Mm-hmm. Sometimes your sibling will be like, no, it's okay. It's not a big deal. I'm fine. Broken arm hanging off. Like, oh no, it's okay. Because you don't want the other person to get in trouble. So she has an affinity for him. She doesn't want him to be in trouble. She wants him to be better.
Yeah.
And that wasn't fulfilled. And she probably felt totally alone. And then she's alone with her abuser. There's no help and no one else. So she rallies whatever she can. It pisses him off.
Yeah.
And he's already been emboldened by the police furthering the years of, tutelage under his mother, and he flips out and he beats the crap out of her and he goes too far.
Right.
Yes. Hey, Rich Lex, how you doing? Yeah, he did unalive himself. Well, allegedly. A
That's
lot of
the
people
official.
felt like the parents
He
might have
died of a
helped him.
gunshot wound. Let's just say that.
It's a little suspicious. For
I mean,
sure.
I do think the FBI's official ruling was that it was self-inflicted. So
I wanted to go back to what Angel said though about the parents didn't think it would take so long to find the body.
yeah.
It so reminds me of the Ramsey case because I've always felt like her dad went and got her because nobody was finding her.
Yeah.
So he goes and gets her and brings her up the steps because he wants to put an end to it.
Right.
So I feel like the Laundries did the same thing. They were like, listen, we got to go show the police where this body is and put an end to this.
Right.
Yeah.
The one day they go out there, the first day they physically go out. They're out for 15
And
minutes.
that they said that the dad walked off the trail and just beelined for it. And I'm just like, and nobody was like, huh, that's interesting.
Thank you, Rich.
Thanks, Rich.
Showing the love.
I mean, Rich, there's a lot of people who think that because still all we've been told is that they had a skull or the top of a skull. Even.
Right.
It wasn't even like a full skull. And other remains. I'm like, that's still just.
See, I have a hard time making that leap, but I know a lot of you feel that way.
Yeah.
I just feel like the way that all the way that all happened is just very open to all manner of conspiracy theories, and nobody's come out with anything that can stop it.
It's so weird. But I feel like that was his body. I really do. But I respect you all thinking something's funny going on.
Well, it still bothers me that like the rest of his body, not even talk about like the meat here. The rest of the bones weren't even found, but his dry bag and his notebook were there. And I'm like, what in God's name?
It is. I know. I get it.
And
I get why people
the only body part that remained is the one that would identify him as dead.
Well, I mean, here's the weird thing for me, and
it bothers me.
There would be some kind of proof, along the line. Was there any food or any drinks or anything like that in the dry bag or anything?
Like the rest of the stuff, which is still like bothers me in general because obviously the FBI has released all of the things back to the family at this point. And we're just like, here's a page of a notebook. And I'm like, where's the rest of the information? Well,
if the case is closed,
then
somebody in the news or, if you're a reporter or a YouTuber, you could file, a Freedom of Information Act and get that information.
Which I'm surprised that it hasn't been done or.
Well, I know that newscaster today was saying they had already filed one.
I know they can take a while, but I mean, at this point, if it's already been released back, it shouldn't take
That's what makes me wonder if the case is really 100% closed because the FBI has
Petito
said
family lawyer doesn't have that stuff yet, though.
Right. So I'm wondering if the government is waiting for the Petitos to get. See, because the FBI already has all the information before anybody else did, right? They've released it to the family, so. But I wonder if they're seeing if their case will bring any traction because, like, in history, one thing is easier to prosecute if another thing has already been brought. So if the Petitos are successful in their civil case, if a judge is willing to hear it, blah, 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 then might the FBI say, we're going to take a second look at this, and then there might be charges, But, I mean, they didn't even speak to police for how long?
Yeah.
Which is suspect in itself, because you would think they would have been helping, doing everything they could to find her. That's what normal people would do.
It was the first few days, even after. So he came home the next day. They had a lawyer. It was day 5.
I mean, they purposefully lied
about the police finally came because her dad kept calling.
Yeah, they literally lied to the police about what day he went missing.
Oh, that's right. They did.
They're like, oh, weeks later. Oh, sorry, it was this day.
It was this day and not this day. Yeah.
See, that's why there were so many questions about who was in that car that pulled up at their house. Remember that?
Yeah.
And they went back to the Mayacahatchee preserve and got his car when he was missing and not yet found, here's my thing. And I'm not a parent, I understand, but if I know that that's the last place my child is and that vehicle was left there as some kind of a hope that they would come back, I would not go take the car, because what if he crawls out of the woods in the middle of the night? Then he's got to walk home on top of it. Like, so much is just not sensical.
I also, like, you wouldn't be able to keep me out of those woods. I'm sorry.
No.
There's not especially the first few days. And even if I knew my son was either unalived or we had sent his ass off to Cuba or wherever, my ass would still be in those woods pretending to look. And they were like, let's go home and garden. Yeah. And I'm still just like, none of their behavior makes any sense from any angle.
No, it's the behavior of people hiding something and having no idea how to do it successfully.
I know Just Saying was saying all the YouTube attorneys feel like the Petito case is going to get dismissed. What do you guys think?
I think it's going to heavily depend on what evidence they present. Riley keeps saying that they have evidence that they knew. And I think if they can prove that, then they might have some grounds.
I'm really hoping it goes forward.
Yeah.
The judge sees all the cursory evidence, and especially with again, Bertolino, what are you doing? With this notebook coming out, and then there being a letter from Roberta she wrote a letter knowing he was going into the woods to disappear. So she had some kind of prior knowledge that something bad had happened. That establishes the case. Will it be successful? I don't know. But it's a precedence case, in my opinion.
That's my thing too. I would like to see it go forward because especially in a civilized country, you should not be able to aid and abet a murderer or even convince said murderer to kill himself and not be answer to the family of the people who lost their freaking daughter or anybody else in their family. Right. But that you refuse to help from the get-go should at least... it still bothers me that they weren't generally brought up on any kind of charge for obstruction in the first few weeks.
With the police alone,
Yeah, I kept thinking for sure they were going to be brought up on obstruction charges, if nothing else, just to scare them.
Yeah.
Are they major contributors to the Republican Party? I'm just asking for a friend.
I mean, they live in Florida. I'm pretty sure everybody
because maybe they made a couple good donations, and so,
Well, and she at some point had worked for the local government there for quite a while. Apparently, she was one of the legal secretaries there, or something. And I don't even remember now. But she worked there for like 8 years. They knew people. It's not a huge town. And I mean, in their behavior towards the dad when he was calling and saying like, my daughter's missing and they won't take my calls. And then he showed up at their house and their immediate thing was not to look into anything and just remove him as if he's the problem.
Right.
I feel like they had to be some sort of figureheads in the community. Obviously, the community towards the end there did not want them around anymore. Like the neighbors were like, nah, let's make the money and get them out of here. But are they still even living in that town? Does anybody know?
It would be so, and I'm not necessarily extending a lot of sympathy to them, but it would be so hard if they were, because one, your child died there. Two, your child's partner died there. Well, kind of, or her death is tied to the area. Three, everyone hates you. Four, every day you go to the grocery store, you have to pass by a monument in her name.
Yeah.
A constant reminder.
Right.
Even if they hated her, it would remind them of what happened.
Right.
And at the end of the day, they lost a child, and that's painful.
So I've heard a lot of people say this, where Vera said, well, even if they knew they were under no obligation to say anything, they have the right to remain silent. Morally disgusting, but legally,
they don't have the right to remain silent. They were under no federal indictment or investigation of their own guilt.
Right.
Of committing
the fifth
crime.
Is to not incriminate yourself.
Right.
And if they weren't incriminating themselves, then there's not really.
And to be legally correct, they do not owe a conversation at any point to the Petito family. That is correct. But what they do have to do is work with the FBI to answer questions. Now, if they went in and said, we know nothing, we can help you not, that still would have been cooperation. They didn't do that. They said, zip, nothing. We're going to mow the lawn and drink a Mai Tai and pretend everything's happy hunky-dory.
But at what point, too, does it turn to aiding and abetting? You know he killed somebody, and whether you were planning on helping him get away or not, You know, and not
Well,
saying
that's why
something is
they
one
didn't
thing,
want.
but you're helping him get away with a murder. That's different still.
That's
in
why.
my
That's why they didn't want to answer any questions. That's why they went radio silent, because they weren't sure of
Mhm.
how far they went, or maybe they are sure of how far they went. But if they're gonna say like we are pleading the fifth, that's conscious knowledge that they've committed a crime. That is in itself an admission. So
Yeah.
admission. Sorry. Um,
I
but
think that where the legal thing comes in too is not saying anything why they were still looking for her.
Mhm.
You know,
right.
Well, that
let's
was part of it
just
too.
come
That
to
massive
you
waste of resources. If you knew she was dead and they were spending hundreds of thousands of dollars looking for
searching
her.
for her.
Yeah.
I think they said $144,000 a day was
Yeah.
the average.
And then the cost to search for their own son, if they had any inkling what happened with him too. I mean, they were
Mhm.
costing hundreds of thousands of dollars on both fronts.
Yeah.
Plus the safety
mean-
of the searchers. I mean, that wasn't a great place to be searching
No.
with alligators and all that other stuff. And
Well, and how many people were inconvenienced, and even, I want to say further than inconvenienced, but nobody got arrested. But like, I know there was the guy who was in the Appalachian Mountains who looked a lot like him that got
Oh,
stopped
yeah.
like 5 or 6 different times by
There was
police.
a lot of people on like the AT trail and stuff like that too that kept getting stopped.
Mhm.
And I mean, it essentially became like if you're bald, if you're a skinny white bald guy, you might be to be a little concerned right now,
Just
especially
stay
if
in the
you're hiking
house
out
for
in
a
the
couple
woods.
weeks. Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, and you know, there's so many hikers on the AT at any given time that plenty of them fit the description, and police departments all along that trail were getting called out. There was that, was it like a Walmart in Florida? Or not
Yeah.
Florida, one of the southern states that they got called out to, thinking that was Brian, and they found a dead body.
Yeah, I
Like
think it
that
was
whole case
Alabama.
was just a hot damn mess at the time.
they were saying, you know, as a parent, what would you do to protect your child? I wouldn't. I couldn't.
No, I'm
I
not
just,
saying I'm not going to love them,
yeah,
but I can love them while they're in jail.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I mean, I can even I would have understood if they had helped him get out of the country. Like I'm still going to think less of you for it, but I would have understood as a parent and a child helping them get out of the country. I wouldn't personally do it, but I think anybody can understand where a parent would come from in that case. But
Yeah. I
We
don't know
preach
about
at our
that.
kids for years to face things and to
right.
take responsibility and to, blah blah blah. So, I mean, this to me, what they did here with the limited knowledge we have
Yeah.
is indicative of why he ended up doing actually what he did, because I don't think he's ever taken responsibility for anything. And I said in the chat earlier, like, think of being Gabby and being just very young and just an adult and just establishing yourself as a woman and living in a house with a relationship like Brian and his mother must have had. I mean, he yells at her, and like literally, my husband raised his voice to me one time in front of my mother-in-law. One time.
Yeah.
And she ate him alive. Don't you ever speak to her. And he's like, well, I was just, no.
Yeah.
But can you imagine if you're being abused by someone, no matter what, verbal, mental, physical, doesn't matter. And then he's got one family member who turns their back and is ignoring the situation, like the father would. The mother backing it, well, why haven't you made him happy? Blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think
I
this
mean,
is a good point too, when you're so used to mom and dad rescuing you.
Yeah.
Because he definitely went back thinking they were going to save him, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Otherwise, you would have just gotten lost. You know what I mean? You would have driven straight for the Mexico border while nobody knew
I
what
think
had
in some
happened. But
weird
he
way,
drove
he
from
thought he was going to get
Utah
away
to
with
Florida.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Otherwise,
so
why
too.
didn't he just unalive himself right then and there?
Well, that's part of what I think bothers me so much. You drove across the country and then decided a few weeks later that you couldn't stand yourself for it.
I want to know
doesn't
if the
check out for
cell
your average
phone,
narcissist.
yeah, I want to know if the cell phone that,
Oh, did we lose her?
Uh-oh.
Pickle. Pickle, we lost you.
you got me back now?
Yeah.
Listen, my mom and dad are blowing my phone up. I'm not answering. They can get over it. It's too late now. They're driving home from down south back up to Michigan right now. And so one of them is probably, well, my mom called, then my dad called. So they're probably like, we just passed blah, blah, blah. Like, oh my God, I don't care. You want to talk about overbearing parents? Here we go. No, I'm kidding. But I think that he probably could not, like, I think he called his parents the minute it happened. I think day and night doesn't matter. I think he called his mom, was like, oh my God, mom, Gabby,
I
blah,
do
blah,
too.
blah. And then something, I think she knew immediately. So whether the phone is gone or not, there's still a phone record. There's still a trail. And even though we'll never be privy to the conversation he had with his mom, I would like to know if Brian Laundrie called his mother the night that we speculate that he killed Gabby.
Yeah. I'd be willing to bet. And I wonder if that's going to be part of the evidence too, because as damning as I think the burn after reading letter is, Riley has said that that is not the evidence he's leaning on, that he just wants it released because it shows some other stuff that she offered to help him in some way in the letter, apparently. But I'm like, I bet, like, if you've got the phone records and stuff like that, then
Kathy's she's talking about if it goes to trial and they win, it will be appealed. I don't think they care. I think the Petitos are just doing this to get information and to show the world that these people knew and show what they helped do to their daughter. I don't think they care about the money. I don't think they care about winning. They just want everybody to know. That's the feeling I get.
Yeah, I think it's just like Depp wanted everybody to know, he wanted it laid bare that Heard had lied. He doesn't care about the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of that same thing.
Yeah. I'm honestly surprised to some extent that the Laundries are still in the United States.
Yes.
I just don't even, I know that they have like their businesses and stuff here, but it's not like they run the businesses directly themselves anyway. So you could still do that and, leave before all of this had happened. And it just really surprises me.
But if you're living with that, if you're in so much doubt that you let your child go out into the wilderness and commit suicide and lay there and rot for 6 weeks.
Right.
Before you decide, okay, we'll go get him.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like delusion going on there.
Oh yeah.
To me, it's apparent that they knew, that they panicked in a way they didn't know how to handle it, that the lawyer took over as, the mouthpiece, and they just hid.
Yeah. I think to some extent the lawsuit might actually be because the Petitos, like us, expected there to be some sort of charges brought. Accessory, aiding, abetting, obstruction of justice. They should have gotten something for the way that they behaved, and nothing happened. So I imagine a lawyer's like, well, here's a way to make them pay, but also to get the information that you're looking for. Some more closure for you guys.
Then the public will demand there to be something done.
Right. And so I'm like, this helps them in multiple ways at this point.
Because we know, if you look at the Ahmaud Arbery case, there was cover up and all kinds of stuff going on. And when his mother then received the backing of certain people and more came out to light, then publicly it was demanded something needs to actually be done about this.
Right.
And those guys never thought they would be held responsible.
Right.
Because one, they didn't really think they did anything wrong.
Right.
And two, his father had worked for the sheriff's department and had worked with the prosecutor and a judge who he called immediately when it happened.
Right. Which just is another horrible example of crappy justice systems. But
I am kind of surprised they don't leave the country and change their name, kind of like that girlfriend of Watts did.
Yeah.
She has totally disappeared. And I've read that she changed her name and yada, yada, which was probably smart on her part because she was the most hated woman in America. Well, now they're the most hated parents in America.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I wonder if the FBI encouraged the Petitos to sue. If they didn't have enough info to get a wide enough warrant, maybe they just said, if you get us the evidence via civil discovery, maybe. See, I've seen a lot of cases do that because it's
Yeah.
easier to win a civil case.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get all this information come out, and then they can
the
use it in
feds
the
don't
criminal.
do it unless they can win most of the time.
Right.
They're not like state cases where they'll try anybody and everybody just to see what sticks.
Yeah, no, but they're not trying to make a name for themselves.
Yeah. And the feds also can't get, as wide a warrant. So, Carly, I was actually just about to say, like, the Petitos are hated and Watts' girlfriend, but at least she left. But somehow Casey Anthony's still walking around like a normal damn person.
That's so weird. She's not
Another-
living a normal life, though. I
Yeah.
mean,
No, but
Yeah.
all things considered, it's not the punishment that it should be.
No, I mean, another Florida case, George Zimmerman, he's out here living his life. Like, he's gotten a couple scraps since then because he got a big head on him, but like, he's out here just existing, and there's no real justice for what he did.
Right. That's a good point, Curious. And I'm not completely clear on how that would all end up working because they still haven't said, even with the confession, I don't think there's actually been like a final, legally anybody saying he murdered her. We all know it.
Well, when someone becomes a public, a person of interest, and it's announced that they're a person of interest, that has no, there's no legal bearing to that whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So he could have been someone that they were looking at and they were interested in. They could even have been fully convinced prior to Gabby being discovered that he was involved. They may have known she was dead before they found the body.
Mm-hmm.
Very often we see cases that are prematurely tried without a body, and that's 9 times out of 10 a big mistake. So
yeah,
body is always the best thing when it comes to that.
A completely circumstantial case at that point, so
Right.
they don't tend to go anywhere.
So
Snow
just
White
because
has
they
a
held
point.
off.
A narcissist might not believe she's the most hated mom. That's a good
I
point.
mean, they don't have to believe it, but that doesn't change it from being true.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean maybe in her eyes, she is being punished unfit because she doesn't think she did anything wrong.
I mean, it would fit with what I think is like the psychology there of her being poor put upon and having all this burden on her. So now these people hate me. Well, I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm going to stand up. I can see that play out.
I get your point, Vera, but I think the difference here is they didn't just like witness a stranger committing a crime or a crime out on the street or.
No, and I don't even think it's necessarily that they didn't turn it in. I think it was the intention to help him run or the intention to help him unalive himself and not answering to the Petito family at all.
Mm-hmm. Well,
obstruction. I get that they don't necessarily have to, but I also think there was a statement from Riley along the lines of in a civilized country, you shouldn't be able to just cover up that their daughter was killed by your son by just blocking them on Facebook.
Right. Obstruction is an action. And we generally, as a country, do not prosecute inaction. We prosecute action.
Right.
So a bystander who sees someone run up and shoot someone else who lives in a high crime area, who is recognizable in the community, who then goes to the police question, and they say, I didn't see anything, I'm not getting involved. That's not an action. That's an inaction. You can't be punished for that inaction. However, if you have knowledge that your child committed a crime and you go so far as to help them travel across country to get back to your home for safe harbor, you hide things when you're questioned, you refuse to speak, when
you lie to the police repeatedly,
that's an action. That is a crime.
I do think that these gray areas, like what Vera's mentioned, it's morally, but maybe not legally, but it's this and it's that, and he wasn't technically charged. So I think that's probably why charges weren't brought. There's no firm ground for anybody to stand on, because in the end of the day, he died, she's dead. To the government,
Well,
essentially, it's done.
the civil court actually has more power
Mm-hmm.
to get information and records and evidence than a criminal case, a criminal court does. And that's because in a criminal court, you have the right to defend yourself
Yeah.
from a criminal prosecution against a government.
Mm-hmm.
When it's two people spatting and it's purely civil, because it's, even though the government's involved, it's not a government case.
Yeah.
There are greater lengths you can go to get the information and to get things. And there's more of an acceptance also of communications between two people. I just keep hearing hearsay in my head, hearsay. But I mean, it is hearsay in some circumstances. But if I go out and I shoot someone and I say, "Hey, Katie, I killed somebody," technically that's hearsay in a criminal trial. In a civil trial, you can testify that I told you that. So that's a matter of fact that I told you.
Right.
Hey, Amira, how you doing? I think it reminds me of the O.J. Simpson trial.
I was going to say that.
Then the parents suing him and winning. And, now they have that like lifetime judgment against everything he earns, which just eats him up.
Yeah.
Oh, that man has money hidden in every offshore bank account. They just figured it. Like, I think they were awarded like $37 million. And now with inflation, Fred Goldman just filed papers this last week. And it's like $160 or $190 million. And he hasn't paid, but like sporadically, maybe 4 or 5 times, a couple $100,000 at a time. But he's still at the country club every day. So,
yeah. I missed you too, Amira.
Oh, we were missed.
She's such a sweetheart. I love me some Amira. Did you see Ronnie was here too, Katie?
Uh-huh. It's like flashbacks to last year, man.
And in a civil case, it's not beyond a reasonable doubt. It's only a standard of more likely than not.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not. And I always kind of forget that there are some like different precedents for both, but it is pretty fascinating.
I so hope it goes forward. I got to know everything now. I
know. For us, we just want more answers to come out. The information that we've been
want the letter from mom to child. I want to hear it.
I want the phone log too.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to know when all those calls or texts were made. I want to see the letter.
I want the autopsy report, both autopsy reports at this point.
Right.
How's it going, CJ?
Because they said that Gabby had blunt force trauma to the head. Did they? Yeah, I thought so.
I believe so.
And if you strangle someone, even if you just let them drop, they don't necessarily hit their head.
Right.
And blunt force trauma, I mean, like, granted, it can happen. It can always happen. But, like, when you fall down, even if you are unconscious, you usually don't. You might hit your head hard and get a little a goose egg. Ignore me. There's something wrong with me. I read Valerie's comment, gotta go clean fish, and it just came out as fish egg in my mouth. Like, but it doesn't cause like necessarily blunt force trauma to that extent.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and I think in that letter he was trying to explain that away by saying she had a bump on her head when he found her or something.
Yeah.
Oh my God, babe, you hit your head. Let me call 911.
Yeah.
I still just literally makes no sense to me.
Oh,
it bothers me so much.
Put you out of your
I didn't seek any help, not even from another camper, not from anybody. I just decided I would mercy strangle her.
And they were, because if you remember the people who are the ones that helped the FBI find the body, they had a GoPro and they had driven by the van where it was. First of all, that was a pretty like when people say they were out in the desert, you think the desert rocks. Oh, but they were in a pretty grassy area. So it was softer playing field. And there were other people not that far away.
Yeah.
So
you didn't seek help from anybody. You didn't ask anybody to get a ranger. You didn't try to call anybody. It's not like you didn't have a cell phone.
I mean, she weighed 105 pounds soaking wet. You couldn't throw her in the back of the van and drive up the road.
Right.
Well, and Brian brought up in his interview that they had cell phone service the whole time they were there.
Yeah.
Right?
They never had trouble.
Called his mama right after he did it, I guarantee you.
Right.
Yeah, we
I
need
don't
closure too, don't we, Ronnie? We got to
Yeah.
know. Yeah, CJ, he went right there. We were talking earlier about that letter, how the attorney tried to say that that was a movie title she put on there, Burn After Reading.
Which
He
is-
thinks we're
Burn.
all so
Yeah.
stupid.
I know. Yeah, after I find out that my son killed somebody, I just put the title of a movie on the envelope of a note that I wrote to him, offering help to him as a joke. It's
While
hilarious.
he goes on the run.
Yeah, she
right.
seems like the joking sort. Jesus.
No, I didn't know they were already making a Lifetime's been so disappointing though. Like their Watts story they did was horrible.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That
I didn't
looked
watch it.
Looked like something I might have put together. I mean, because we all know my editing skills are nil. That's why I don't try to do big fancy videos
Mm-hmm.
because I know my limits.
Snow White has a good comment. That's a really good observation.
Mm-hmm.
If the legal case is technically closed, the Petitos can argue that the Laundries can't claim the fifth.
I mean,
That
I
was-
wonder if they still could just because they're not incriminating themselves in the civil case, but I'm not sure how that crosses to civil.
Now they could still claim the fifth because they were never under indictment, so double jeopardy
Yeah,
would not come into play
right.
because they've never been charged with anything. So they could incriminate themselves, but that also might, I'm not a lawyer, so there might be still a way to force them at least into deposition.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to know it all, don't we, CJ? I still want to know
Do you
about the
think-
$22,000.
Do you
Yeah.
think we could get Roberta Laundrie to come on a panel and I'll ask her the questions? We just won't invite Katie Joy to come in at the end.
Yeah.
We could always
try to
try.
not plan for that.
Wouldn't that be so funny?
Crazy.
I would pass out. I'd be like, oh God, here we go again. Let's go.
CJ, have you heard anything on the Summer Wells case lately?
Oh,
There's
that
been so much weird stuff going on with those people.
those people are something else.
I just can't with them. I can't.
I just can't believe they haven't found her. Like and all the other aspects of it are wild and crazy, and I don't know if we'll ever have a clear picture. But the fact they haven't physically found the child,
Yeah.
Well, I
God
was shocked
stopped me.
that the police down there were saying, oh, well, it could have been animals drug her away. I'm like, really? Stop it. That did not happen.
A dingo ate my baby theory.
Yeah. And that was from the police. That's what worries me.
That's just a lot of, we don't know.
Well, you'd still find something. As quickly as she was reported missing, an animal wouldn't drag her miles and miles away. The animal would drag her into a secluded space where it felt safe enough to eat.
Yeah.
That's
you
what
would have
I'm
heard.
hoping, CJ, but I don't know. See, everybody
That's what
keeps
we're
talking
hoping
about
is
the
that it's just
bearer,
going
and
to
I
bring
don't even
us.
know who that is.
I don't either.
Oh, bad news bears.
Maybe that's why I don't know. I think, as much good was done from people from TikTok and YouTube on the Petito case,
Mm-hmm.
as much bad has been done by these same groups for the Wells case.
Right.
Mhm.
I just think so many of these crazy YouTubers and TikTokers got involved in the Wells case, and in my opinion, they've totally screwed it up.
Mm.
They go too far.
Yeah.
Well, and you take an area like that where it's a lot of, is there even a middle class? Like by this country standards? No. Everybody's living in poverty or sub-poverty, if you can imagine. And then you're peripherally attached to the case and you can say a few things and somebody offers you a little bit of money to come on and run your mouth on a live stream, they're eating it up.
Yeah.
Well, and I've said this before, they're making themselves part of the story. Instead of reporting the story, they became the story.
which was the guy that like went to the house and walked through with the mom and toured the house and the grounds? The it's something the something room.
Chris McDonald.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's just a YouTuber.
Yeah. But I'm talking, and I know, CJ, I know you like Benny Keys, but I'm not a fan. He has become such a part of the story. I don't like it.
To interview him. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the guy that struck my channel. I'm not a big fan, but
Yep.
he thinks it's okay that he can talk about everybody, but you can't make a video about him. He'll strike you. But he lost, thankfully.
Okay.
YouTube said no. Thinking back to your earlier Ramsey comment, so many people in the home that day, including cops, and no one found her. You have to remember it was the day after Christmas and most of the cops were on vacation there.
They never dealt with the murder. They didn't know the house. I mean, they didn't know there was a secret room in the basement off of a secret room.
Yeah, and all you had basically was that one lady cop there trying to control that whole scene. And remember, she was calling back, begging for people to come help her.
Oh, yeah. She was terrified. She's come out.
She was there alone with all these people in that house.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, and it so worked to the Ramseys' advantage. So yeah, I think they searched, but they didn't know there was. That was such a weird house too. So many rooms and all cut up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and that's another thing. I mean, if you're breaking into someone's house and you don't know the house with your intent to cause harm or do something to a child, everybody in the house is asleep. You don't know how light of sleepers they are. You don't know where everything is, but you find the secret room in the basement and you spend time like things. I for a long time really wanted to defend the Ramseys, but I mean, if you just look at it without any emotion and pure facts, it doesn't.
No, we still need to do a deep dive on that case.
I know. We keep saying we're going to do a whole live on the Ramseys. It's still one of my most commented videos.
Yeah.
I was looking the other day. It got a bunch more comments the other day. It's the case that I think will never be solved. Well, until John Ramsey passes away, I think.
Yeah.
I think Burke may come out later and say, my mom got mad and lost her crap. My dad covered it up for her.
Well, I think that friend, the one that what was his name? It's been so long now. He knows, I think, and he said he won't talk until John Ramsey passes away.
Mm-hmm.
Or if he passes away first, I feel like he's got it written down somewhere.
Yeah.
What was his name, the friend that had the big falling out?
I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of it either.
Yeah, I can't think of his name.
I'm getting too old. I can't remember all these names.
You have too many orders and everything in your head. That's why.
I know. It's work and bubble tea and cotton candy and YouTube.
I said, somebody asked me the other day because we were talking about trying to find a sitter for like once a month. And they're like, well, your parents aren't too far away. I was like, my parents work 7 days a week. Can you just not? Like, people do not understand. Like, I think everybody just assumes like all grandparents are retired or they just, they work part-time. And I'm like, no, they run their own business. And in this day and age, running your own business is like 100% thing, especially if you sell on like Amazon or anything like that. You don't get a break. You don't get holidays.
Yeah, I'm trying to solve that problem, but it's not going well.
I know.
If I could just hire 2 really good people, I could enjoy life more.
Yeah.
Oh, I get what you're saying, CJ. I'm going to razz you a little bit about it. I just think that Benny Keys, in my opinion, is just taking this stuff way too far.
The ones that get me, this is controversial, but I can say it. The ones that get me are like, I'm a psychic. It's been passed down from my grandmother in the deep south, and we're going to use a spirit box, and I'm going to talk to Summer Wales tonight and find out where she is. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, I don't like that stuff.
Come. I mean, why would, what? it really strikes me as like, I'm not saying I don't fully believe in the spiritual life or an afterlife or a spirit world, but I'm just saying, like, granted, Summerwell's parents are an interesting case, a little different. But if somebody did that to my child,
Amanda, I used to be on Web Sleuths all the time. You'll probably see old posts of mine there, and then I got in trouble. So I quit going to Web
troublemaker.
Sleuths. I got in trouble, got my hand slapped. Amira, moved to Ohio. That means you have to be on a plane tomorrow. I used to really like Web Sleuths, but towards the end when I was there, it was just getting ridiculous. Like you couldn't post anything without getting your hand slapped.
Yeah. My husband heard you say Ohio. He just looked at me because I'm from Michigan. His mother is from Ohio. And as you probably both well know, there's a little competition there.
Just a wee bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a tiny bit.
And he's like, he gave me the "you're associating with someone from Ohio" look. And I was like,
You're fine, Amanda. Like I said, I used to really enjoy Web Sleuths, and I don't know. The last time they timed me out for like a week, and I was like, this is so ridiculous. And that's when, Katie, I was talking about that case, the guy that went missing in Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
And that girl kept telling me I didn't know what I was talking about, so I kept proving it with facts.
Right.
They timed me out, not her. I was
ridiculous.
I was like, y'all, I live 30 minutes from where the guy went missing.
That whole family that got murdered, the
Rudden family?
Yes, thank you. I think they were jerks about that whole thing too.
Yeah. Yeah, I got my hand slapped for that one because, again, I knew some of the people involved. I showed horses with them.
Right.
I actually know these people.
Yeah, right. We like, I actually knew.
And they're going to tell me I don't know what I know. I'm like, oh, okay.
No, it was very cliquish. It was very like, these people have been here and these are my friends, so screw that person.
Yeah. Sorry, Amanda.
But they do have good, like, there's still good resources there. It's just not.
They do a lot of good research where they keep all the links and stuff. I always love that, where you can go back and look stuff up.
Well, yeah, and it does help, like, when you're trying to get, like, timelines and stuff together.
Yeah.
You know, so many people there have already documented them.
Yeah, they're really good at that.
That was my other question, speaking of timelines. When, and I know I've seen all this, but I don't remember. When did Gabby go missing in that her parents were like, oh, she's not responding, something's wrong? And then when did Roberta Laundrie block the mom on social media and through text? And then when did it go to the FBI or to law enforcement?
I had this somewhere.
Let's see if Katie has it. She's got quick fingers.
I know her family reported her missing in September, and they believe she died now, what, like, it was the 24th, I think?
Like the end of August, I thought.
Yeah.
They thought, yeah.
August 12th is when they were pulled over.
Okay.
August 17th is when Brian flew home.
So he texted the mom, Gabby's mom, weird stuff about her grandfather between the 12th and the 17th. Or was she still alive when he flew home?
They don't know. There's no yeah. No, she was still alive then, because then it was.
No, well, they've proven that was him texting from her phone. It wasn't her.
Right, but when were those texts? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Because that to me indicates that she's gone if he's texting.
No, because it was the 27th. It was August 27th that the whole restaurant thing went down. And then during that last week. She was alive then. Okay. Their last communication from her that they think was him, or they've proved was him, was August 30th. She last FaceTimed with her mom on the 24th, and nobody saw her until the restaurant.
So we got 3 days, 27th to 30th, where it happened.
Right. And 30th is when they got the message, no message or no service in Yosemite was on the 30th, that they're saying was from him.
I'll be right back.
The 29th is when that lady gave Laundrie a ride when he was hitchhiking. And he had told her that he was camping by himself.
Mm.
On September 1st, he returned to Florida.
In the van.
Mm-hmm. And the 6th, they went on their little vacation. And on the 11th, she was reported missing because her family couldn't get in touch with her.
So that's what I want to know. Between the
6th
when he
or
returned,
the 1st and between the 1st and the 11th had to be when she was blocked.
So before they went to the police.
And the 16th is when they had their big conference begging the Laundrie family to give them information.
Right.
Basically called them straight out on. Honestly, I get it too, but at the same time, I feel like I would have been holding press conferences long before that if I wanted to be like, bitches, tell me where my daughter is. Tell me what happened.
I mean, when I got the text, that was very obviously not my child.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been at the police station. There's something wrong. Now, even if nobody did anything, I would have been there like, oh, something's up.
Right. And so the 11th is when they went on their little family camping vacation. Mm-hmm. The 16th is when the Petito family had their news briefing. But it was the 17th that the Laundrie family let the police in and talked to them and said, oh, by the way, we haven't seen him since the 14th. So even then,
but
at that
really,
point,
it was the 12th.
Yeah,
because that's when the date changed. Like, or the 13th even. It was like the day or 2 days before. Yeah.
So then they started searching for him officially on the 18th.
Mm. And then he was found, I know, like October 11th, because it was like the day before. My birthday's the 12th. It was like the day before.
Yeah. Well, they found her body the 12th.
Okay.
And then CJ said, I think the night of the dash cam footage is when he killed her.
She was alive after that.
Yeah, they had the restaurant fight that
was after that.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I keep thinking too, not to keep changing the subject, but you know how I am. I keep thinking they're going to bust this Harmony Montgomery case wide open, and then nothing happens.
Yeah.
Right.
They keep getting so close, and I think this is it. They're going to figure it out, and then dead silence.
Yeah.
I really thought they knew something when they went through that house again.
When they took the refrigerator out and it was covered in the tape, I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Because even if there's not like
still haven't said anything since then. No. I'm just like,
well, and that
so
makes me wonder.
It wasn't.
That makes me think maybe it wasn't like a full body, but rather like biological components.
Yeah. I mean,
but I think I was reading somewhere where the people living there now said that refrigerator wasn't even there
at the time
when they lived there.
I don't know.
And I thought, now it really doesn't make sense.
No.
But then, the FBI lady that I always say her name wrong, Coffender,
mm-hmm.
She said if they found anything in the house that was biological material, they probably would use the fridge that was there to stick it in.
Can you imagine? Like, you're renting a place, you've been there 6 months, you just went shopping, got all your groceries in the fridge, everything's hunky-dory cool. They're like, sorry, we need this. For what?
Right.
Yeah, CJ, that's what I'm saying, that there could have been evidence somewhere else in the house and they had to put it in that fridge and then remove it.
That is just so weird. That is just weird. Like,
but it still need to be, if you needed a fridge to move it, it's biological of some nature, that they still haven't said what, if anything, if that helps.
But you would think they would just run out, buy a new fridge and
what's what I'm saying,
a small one and put it in there.
Or like a cooler, man. I mean, we transport organs in coolers, but you can't.
I'm just saying, cross-contamination. Is this chicken? Or is this, like, come on, that's just weird.
Ma'am, I'm going to need to confiscate your dinner plans.
It just doesn't make sense.
No, that's goofy.
And I don't know how they could stay living there. I'm sorry, I'd have to move out.
I would have to move out. I would be like, I'm already moving, but it would just make it that much quicker. I would be like, gotta go now.
I'm still so mad at her bio mom because a lot of people give her a pass, but I don't. She
Mm-mm.
was not looking for her daughter. She was not.
Yeah, no.
I don't feel like she was fighting to get custody of her daughter back. And from everything I've heard of the dad, he's a big old you know what,
Yeah.
with a well documented history legally of being a big you know what. So like, if I had messed up in my life and I had made some decisions and it had lost me and cost me my child, when I got back on my feet and I got clean, I would have been fighting. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I used drugs
Right.
3 years ago. I've been clean for 3 years. I've been through rehab. He's using them now. He got charged 2 months ago with it. Give me my child back.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you weren't fighting to get her back, you should have been keeping track of where she was or at least wanting to know.
Right.
Because they proved a lot of what she said was not true. She was not
Yeah.
calling asking for her.
Yeah.
That just broke my heart. Everybody
I know.
failed her. Everybody.
Yeah.
That poor little girl. Makes me so mad. And then you think about the foster parents that wanted to adopt her so bad and
I
what a
know.
better life she would have had.
I don't feel too. I feel like a lot of this wouldn't have come to light if they hadn't pushed to be like, where is she?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
They
a
would
reason anybody
thrive.
started looking for her. It was never the mom, it was the foster parents.
Yeah.
It just kills me every time, like, especially those ones. I end up having to pull up the baby camera and like watch her sleep to make sure. I'm like, I wake up like multiple times a night to check on her in that bed. I just can't imagine going months and
Right.
not caring where my kid was
Yeah.
and not wanting to verify that she's okay, especially knowing who her dad was.
Right.
And I mean, of course, I don't have an addiction issue. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, I know that can cloud your judgment, but like, damn.
Yeah, but
man.
she was
not even
clean.
like phone calls.
She was clean for quite a while, and I give her
Yeah.
kudos for that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
I'm
you
not
would think
saying-
the minute she got clean, she would have been like, I want to see my daughter. I want
Right.
to talk to my daughter.
Right.
Right.
Well, that's
I've
how she
had-
portrayed it at first, that I was busy getting clean, and as soon as I was clean,
Right.
I wanted to find out. But then it turns out that's not what happened at all.
That wasn't at all what
No,
she was doing.
No. I
And
have
her
friends.
TikToks are so weird. Have you guys seen her
Yes.
TikToks?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she's playing that victim card
For donations,
hard.
I'm sure. I mean, and I hate to say that because, but I just feel like a lot of people like are just looking to see what they can get out of situations. And I have friends who have addiction issues and have had addiction issues, and like they might do their thing and they might make some bad judgments at times, but their child is always fed, always clothed. They know what's going on. It doesn't, you know, they're not a great parent because obviously if you're dealing with addiction, you're not doing your very best. But, you know, sometimes I think some of these people, they didn't really want a child in the first place. They didn't want to deal with the inconvenience that they perceive the child to be. So out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
I think I'm the only one in this group that does TikTok.
I watch TikTok. I make them every now and then.
Now I haven't had
I
time to
don't-
watch lately like I used to because I've been so busy at work. But
For me, TikTok, like I swear that I actually saw a TikTok on this too, that for all of us in the 80s and 90s who disassociated by reading piles of books, we now disassociate with TikTok. So mine
Yeah.
is nothing that I do anywhere else. Mine is just like, for the most part, just like fun videos, sometimes healthcare worker stuff. And for a short amount of time, I was making like NCLEX review stuff. But it's more
God
work,
bless you.
more work that I actually wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so anymore, I don't bother with that, but I just watch it and you know, when Ellie, she's really into watching rabbit videos on there
No.
and ice skating. I don't know why. Rabbit
Oh.
videos, and skating once in a while, and it buys me 5 minutes to drink coffee while it's still hot. So,
Yeah.
no TikTokers in this. See, I got to keep track of what everybody's doing. Like I always go check on Harmony's mom
But I
to see
think-
what weird TikTok she's
no.
doing. And
I-
then Scott D. Henry, you know, I'm such a fan of his.
Yeah, I watch him too. Selena
Oh, I
Spooky
know.
Brew.
I'm
whenever
being
she does a
facetious,
sleepwalking
Pickle.
video.
Have
Yeah.
you seen the videos I've done on Scott Henry?
No, I actually like him.
You won't
If you like him, don't watch the video.
Yeah, if you like him, don't watch my videos on him.
But yeah, I
What-
don't keep up with any of this stuff on TikTok.
Yeah. TikTok's not where I go.
But I do love it. I'm pretty
look
sure
at this
TikTok got
stuff.
me through most of the panini. So
Well, that's when I started watching it, was during the COVID shutdown, because there was nothing else to do.
Yeah, after Tiger King and making bread, what else did we have? We had TikTok.
Right.
And now it's just like, I don't know, instead of reading the newspaper, well, I can't with news in general these days. So I wake up with TikTok in the morning. Ellie plays Legos and I watch TikTok.
I think it's so funny though, when I first started doing the TikTok tea videos, people made fun of me. And then they started getting so many views, and now everybody does it.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Trendsetter you.
Y'all just a bunch of copiers.
I tried to do like more serious TikToks and impactful TikToks, and people were like, "Who are you, fat girl?" They don't care. But then if I smoke and I make a funny TikTok while my eyes are bloodshot and I can barely see, people are like, "That's so great. That's content right there." I'm like,
yeah.
I always
I think if you want to do serious stuff, like it's so much work, because of course you're be polarized on either side of anything, and it just.
Plus, TikTok don't pay worth a darn. You're better off to do YouTube.
YouTube's format bugs the crap out of me. Like, Jason he follows a lot of YouTubers. He watches the videos every night. He has his own channel and stuff like that. And I watch Bailey Sarian when she's putting out content, which isn't very often anymore because I'm not really into the podcast thing that she does. But that, and like I used to watch a couple like Jackie Aina and stuff like that before she was really big. And even then though, like I can't do it. Like people put out their content so regularly on here. It's almost like having like your favorite TV show. And I don't know why, but it's just never appealed to me.
Yeah.
I like to come on here and I like to talk about true crime with my mama and our little community of crime fighters here.
We have so much fun,
Yeah. But otherwise, YouTube and I are not besties.
Man,
I don't have a long enough attention span.
Yeah. I've been watching Jewish moms on YouTube. I'm neither Jewish or a mom, but there's something about it that is like oddly satisfying. I'm like, shalom, what are we going to learn about today, guys?
I know.
Like, I just get ready for it.
Yeah, me and Carly, we're into Tiger King.
I
never watched the rest of
another
it.
one, right?
What?
They're supposed to be coming out with another one.
Oh, a part 3?
A part 3, and I saw that they're making the Tiger King movie.
Yeah, I saw that they're making a movie out of it.
Is it just going to be a Netflix movie?
I am getting the feeling that it's going to, well, I think it is Netflix. I'm getting the feeling that it's going to be a little tongue-in-cheek. Because, what is her name? She just left SNL, the blonde. Oh, she's so funny.
Oh, yeah.
She's going to be Carol Baskins.
Listen, y'all, I'm telling you, we're all going to end up on Netflix when they make a story about what happened with Natalie.
Oh, my goodness.
We're all going to end up on there.
Y'all are. I just moderate the channel when those things are going on.
Oh, my goodness.
I feel like somehow Netflix is going to pick up on this weird. Did you see that series they just did? The one that's got Keemstar on it about cyber crimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like they're going to see this story. Carly, you said her name. I can say whatever I want. No.
You're fired. Listen, if Netflix does a series on us, I want it to be because we solved the case in Centerville. Shoot.
Yeah, that would be a lot better.
Yeah, I would like that. I would like to also pick who plays me in the Lifetime series. So
I haven't seen her, Amanda, but it wouldn't surprise me if she's lurking.
She
wouldn't surprise me at all.
She's confirmed to be lurking.
Yeah, see, that doesn't surprise me. I figured she was.
She is.
We'll hear something eventually. They said it could take up to 28 days, up to 3 months.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think the thing that I want to remind people here, I feel like this is my PSA. Every horrendous thing that was done is not going to be addressed and prosecuted, because even though it was wrong and hateful, it wasn't all criminal,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what, yeah. I agree. Totally agree. I think they'll just go for the biggest things. Then that makes sense, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I forgot to say, though, did you see Katie on the Roden Wagner thing?
Mm-mm.
That the youngest son is now going to testify against his brother, and his brother's up for the death penalty.
Oh shit!
And he's going to testify against him.
If he's up for the death
Oh.
penalty, that means he would be prison near us. Maybe we
Yeah.
can go do an interview at the prison.
I just can't believe he's going to do that because his brother did this for him.
I
Right?
mean, what's he getting
Man.
back for it?
Right. What's he getting in return?
He got life in prison instead of death penalty.
Yeah, so that's probably why. Granted, I mean, our death penalty is
that's
on
his
hold
brother.
here, no one in sight. So
These people, that is, when you talk about an enmeshed family,
yeah,
that for sure is the Wagner family.
right.
The things they did are so
We need to do a
horrific.
video on that too.
Yeah, we need to. I was
I
waiting.
don't think
for
a
all
lot of
the
people are
trials.
aware of the wildness that is that case.
I was waiting for all the trials to get over, and this is the last one because all the rest, once the youngest one took the deal and agreed to testify, all the rest of his family, including his mother, they all took plea deals too.
Yeah.
So this is the only one that refused to take one, so he's up for the death penalty.
And didn't
now
the
he's
mother
gonna-
get like a much nicer plea deal than everybody else did?
I think so.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, really all he got was not getting the death penalty. I mean, he couldn't be up for it.
No.
Mm.
Can you imagine explain the entirety of now? No, I can't. It's so
Oh my
convoluted.
I feel like if anything that would keep somebody from doing it, because I mean I've been around all of it for this whole time, and I still don't understand the majority of that community or what happened with all of that.
I mean, I
So-
know a lot more than the community at large.
Mhm.
And I am still at times bumfuddled by
Yeah.
the whole thing.
It's really hard unless you were there from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it hasn't really ended. But
No, it
unless you were
hasn't.
there from the beginning to now, you don't really get the scope of what happened.
No, but I do love the collective. Like somebody will be randomly, someone will be like, "Who's Nat?" And everybody's like, "Don't say her name. Don't speak about it. Don't ask questions. Just be happy you know nothing."
Yeah, yeah. I didn't know this, Snow White. She's saying Robert Wagner is no longer considered a suspect in the death of Natalie Wood. I have not read that.
Oh,
We're gonna need a list at this point
Yeah.
of things we need
We
to
always do
address.
this at the end of a live stream. We
I know.
start-
I was like, as I'm sitting here, like trying not to yawn, and I'm sorry for anybody that I made yawn, but I can't hold it back anymore.
Yeah.
That's when we're
10
like,
o'clock
oh
is-
yeah, and that one, and that one.
10
We have so
o'clock
much
is
to talk about.
Katie's bedtime.
Uh-huh.
And everybody makes fun of me.
It's usually earlier than 10 these days.
I know.
I was
feel
out.
ya.
We had people here until 11 o'clock last night, and I was like,
Oh,
y'all
my
don't
goodness.
understand.
Poor Katie. I think we'll wrap it up, guys. I think Katie's going to fall asleep on us. My love, my
thing.
lovely daughter.
You giant nerd.
Thank you, Pickle, for coming and chatting with us.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
I had
you. It was
fun.
really
Thanks for having me.
cool to have that perspective.
Yeah.
Thank
We're
you
going to have
guys
her
for coming.
psychoanalyze all of our cases at this point.
I know. Well, we did stick with one for a long time.
We did today.
We did. We did.
But I
good
mean, like
tonight.
in the future, when we attack a case, we'll have to be like, and here's our not a reporter, not a, not a legal person, but here's her opinion on the case. I like it.
Thanks for coming, guys. It was so good seeing everybody.
It
Have
was
a great
nice
weekend.
to just have a chat with everybody.
Bye.
Bye,
Night,
guys.
guys.